Slowish. Okay, let's start this mimer again. It's a mimer, first of all, that was said on the holiday of Shavuot. On the holiday of Shavuot. Outside of Israel, the holiday of Shavuot is 2 days. This was said on the second day of the holiday of Shavuot. In 1942. And it is an explanation of a statement of a Mishnah that is made in a Pirkei Avot. Pirkei Avot is what's called the Ethics of the Fathers. It's in the 3rd chapter. And it brings sayings from the great rabbis. Most of these rabbis who are quoted could raise the dead. Actually had the power of raising the dead. Even though they didn't do it, because God has a reason for making death in the world. And they didn't want to interfere with this reason. But nevertheless, they had tremendous purity of soul and of body and of deed. And one of them was Rabbi Akiva. Maybe one of the prime ones was actually Rabbi Akiva. And Rabbi Akiva was quoted as saying, Chaviv Adam shenivra b'tzelem chidva yesera nodas lo shenivra b'tzelem. Precious is man because he was created in the image of God. An extra preciousness, an extra dearness was given to him because he was created in the image of God. So man is precious to God because he was created in God's image, and he's extra precious because he was created in God's image. You see what that means? How do you know man was created in God's image? Shene'emar ki b'tzelem Elokim asa es Adam. Because in the form of God, man was made. Where does the sentence appear? In the form of man, God was made. It was a statement that God made to Noach. God made to Noach when he gave him the 7 Noah commandments. Noah and Noach. He said, don't kill people. Because man is made in the image of God. That's what he said. Man is made. This is referring not to Jews. Noach was before Abraham. Okay, now that's talking about the non-Jews. Now we're talking about the Jews. So the non-Jews are precious to God, and they're very precious because they were made in God's image. Part 1. Part 2. Chavivim, this is all part of the quote that Rabbi Akiva said. Chavivim Yisrael, the Jewish people are dear. The Jewish people are precious. Shenikru banim lamakom, that they are called the sons of God. Makom means God. Another appellation for God. Chiva Yesera Nodas Lahem, an extra dearness was made known to them. Shenikru banim lamakom, because they are called the sons of God. So the same thing with the Jews. The Jews are dear to God, and they're extra dear. But for a different reason. The non-Jews are dear to God because they're created in God's image. The Jews are dear because they're called the sons of God. Every Jew is a son of God. How do you know they're called the sons of God? Shene'emar, banim atem l'Hashem Elokeichem. Like it says, you are the sons of God. Pasuk in the Torah. It's a sentence in the Torah. Right before it says, don't make any marks on your body or tattoos or things like that. It says, you are the sons of God. Every Jew is a son of God. And also it was the same thing Moses said to Paro. God told Moses to send to Paro, go into Paro and say, my son, my firstborn, Israel. B'ni b'chor Yisrael. You can look in the end of the first chapter of the book of Exodus. Chavivin Yisrael. Okay, so Jews are called the sons of God. Part 2. So we have the part 1 is talking about the non-Jews. Part 2 is talking about the Jews. They're all dear. Chavivin Yisrael shenitan laem kli chemda. The Jews are dear to God because it was given to them, to the Jews, Kli Chemda, a precious vessel. The Torah. Chiva Yesera Nodas Lehem, an extra dearness was given to them. Shenitan Lehem Kli Chemda, that was given to them a precious vessel. Shene'emar, like it says, Ki lekach tov natati lechem, a precious teaching. Lekach means teaching. Lekach tov, a good teaching, natati lechem, I gave to you. Torati, my Torah. Al tazovu, do not, how do you say, lose it. Don't lose it. Don't lose hold of it. So if so, the Rebbe points out, what is Rabbi Akiva saying here? Gimel Inyanim. Rabbi Akiva is saying three general topics. Adam, talks about an Adam is dear, very dear. Yisrael is dear and very dear. Torah is also dear and very dear, precious to Hashem. These three things. Gimel Ofani Chiva. These are three types of endearment, of preciousness. Chivas Adam, how God endears, how he values man, how he values the Jews, and how he values the Torah. And in each one of them, the man, all mankind, the Jews and the Torah, there's two types of dearness, two types of preciousness. Chiva, being precious, v'chiva yasera, and an extra preciousness. Ubechlalot gimel chivot, and included in these three, hine hachiva yoter gedola, the greatest dearness of all of these three. They're all precious, but which one is the greatest value to God? He chibasan shel Yisrael, the dearness and the preciousness of the Jewish people. Why? Why are the Jewish people better than everybody else? Why? I mean, the non-Jews were made in God's image. So the Jews are called God's sons. Okay, good, but they're made in God's image. That's also... But the Jews have the Torah. Sha'ari gam ha-Torah chaviva, because the Torah also is dear to God. Shehi chachmato v'ratzono. It is God's wisdom and God's will, yitborech. The Torah is not just a book, is not just the secret, mystical way of achieving heaven or some sort of powers. Or the Torah is actually the wisdom and the will of God. So what? Well, God of the Jews is the creator of the universe. The God of the Jews is creating time. He's creating every single person all the time, constantly. And that's just the lowest aspect of God, that he creates everyone. That's how you're supposed to start off your prayers in the morning, thinking, God creates me. Do I feel it? Do I feel how good God is? He's creating me. Do I feel this? Right? And you're supposed to sit until you start to feel it a little bit. The goodness of God, how good God is. He's creating everything. That's the God of the Jews, the creator of the universe. Not that he created the universe in the past. And if you're like really religious, you say he created it 700 years ago. No, God is creating the world right now. Creating right now. He began to create it 5,779 or whatever years ago. So God is creating everyone every single instant. And the God has dearness, value, precious, every single human being. But the Jews have something extra. What do the Jews have something extra? They have the Torah. The Jews, not only are they endeared by God because they're his sons, Jews also have the Torah. And what is the Torah? The Torah is the wisdom and the will of the creator of the universe. It's the reason why God is creating everything. And this Torah was given only to the Jews. Li Yisrael davka, to the Jews only. Beli shum hevdel, without any difference, kalal at all, gadol v'katan. If a Jew is a great Jew like Rabbi Akiva, or if he is a small Jew like me, makes no difference to God. God gave the Torah to everyone, all the Jews, no matter what. Lochin, therefore, hine, behold, Kol Yisrael, all the Jewish people, mechuyavim, are obligated b'Talmud Torah, to learn the Torah. Kamoshe Katuv, Rabbeinu, like it is written, the first Rebbe in Talmud Torah. Every Jew has to learn the Torah. As soon as a baby can speak, you have to teach him Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe Morashah Kilat Yaakov. As soon as he stands on his own, he has to try to find himself his own teacher. There's no one to find him. If there's no one. Okay, now let's explain this. What's going on over here? God likes this type of people. He likes everybody. He likes the Jews more. He likes the Torah. What does it mean? And why does it say also God likes the non-Jews and he likes them very much? And then he says, and he likes the Jews and he likes them very much. And he likes the Torah and he likes it very much. What does it mean? Chiba and Chiba Yasera. Chiba, God, Chiba is Chiba for the Jews and is Chiba Yasera for. What does it mean? Hine, Chavivim Yisrael, that with the Jewish people are precious. Kai refers to Nefesh Elokis, the godly soul. The Neshamos Heim Nikraim, the Haneshamos Heim Nikraim Banim Lamakom. The souls of the Jews, they are called the sons of God. And in the second chapter of the Tanya, this is explained. Kamoshe Katuv Rabbeinu, like it is explained in the second chapter of the Tanya. Every Jew has two souls. What is a soul? A soul is, how do you want to call a soul? Identity, self-awareness, certainty that you exist. Every animal has a soul. Every plant has a soul. I mean, in a deeper way, also every rock even has a soul, but that's not so evident. A soul is the person himself, right? The person himself. That's called a soul. A soul is the certainty that you exist. Animals also have souls, right? A soul, a wolf attacks a flock of sheep, right? Each sheep runs for himself, right? Every sheep is afraid. What is he afraid of? He's afraid for his soul. Doesn't want his soul to be separate. He doesn't understand what's going on. But every sheep is aware that he exists, right? The cats give birth. They take care of their children. They have an instinct. It's their children. They don't necessarily take care of others' children, right? Every baby cat, every baby bird, whatever he is chirping, he wants to eat. That's the soul speaking. The soul is the power of, life, awareness. A Jew has two souls. One soul is he's aware that he exists. The other soul is he's aware, and even more, that God exists. Why is he aware God exists? God is a spiritual thing. Not everybody is spiritual. Well, God is not spiritual. God creates the spiritual, and God also creates us. The same God. So there's a person that feels himself, and then there are some that they can feel the creator of themselves. Would you ever believe that you're being created? Right? You're being created every second. You feel this? Don't feel it. Right? Like I said, that's the beginning of prayer. You sit and start feeling, listen, I am being created every instant. I'm being created by God. He's infinitely close to me, infinitely real. Do I feel it? God created us and programmed the world in this way. We would not feel the second soul. The second soul is what's called the godly soul. With your eyes, you can see. With your ears, you can hear. Right? With your tongue, you can taste. With your nose, you can smell. You can't smell with your eyes, and you can't hear with your tongue. The same thing with your godly soul. That is the vessel that perceives God. Perceives automatically. Perceives. Open your eyes, you see. If you open up your godly soul, you automatically feel God. You feel that you're being created every single instant. You feel that the whole entire world is just this amazing miracle, every detail. Incredible miracle. It's being created by God. You feel it. That's called the godly soul. Neshamos Yisrael Olobo Machshava, like it says, the Jewish people, they rose up in God's thought. This second soul of the Jewish people. It's called the second one because it's the second soul that starts to take effect in a person. This second soul, the certainty, the feeling that God exists, this rose up in God's thought. The whole rest of the world is created with God's speech. This Jewish soul rose up in God's thought. Like it says, B'ni Bechor Yisrael. Like it says, my son, my firstborn Israel. Banim atem l'Hashem Elokeichem. You are sons to God, your God. Every Jew is a son. Kamosha ben. Just like a son, a person has a child. Where does the child come from? What do you mean the child comes from? The child comes from his, It comes from his mother's womb. What does it mean? It has to be originated by the father. So what does the father give? He gives a seed. But amazingly, sometimes sons look like their father. Right? They look like their father. What did their father do? 9 months was inside of the mother, and when 1 second was from the father. Right? There was a little seed that touched an egg, and all of a sudden it looks like the father. What was it? Right? The mother contributed 9 hard months of growing the child, and the child grows up and he's got a nose like his father, looks just like his father. How can that possibly be? Even more, a son has a love for his father, and a father has a love for his son, more than anybody else, right? There are people that try to explain it according to psychiatry, according to psychology, according to sociology, according to this, according to that, but the fact of the matter is that they're wrong. A child has some sort of an inner, essential connection to his father. And if he grows up without a father, he has problems. He has problems that they can overcome, but it does problem. A son, why is it? Because the son comes from the brain of the father, the essence of the brain. What is the essence of the brain? The essence of the brain is the power of pleasure. And therefore, the sexual act is connected with pleasure. And this gives birth. This is the power of giving birth. Incredible power. Right? Doesn't make any sense. A person does a physical act, and from this physical act comes another human being. Right? You can understand why the people in America, whatever it is now, there are these pro-abortion people, why they say, kill the babies, no problem. And then you can get people that are even more cultured and more civilized, like they were in Germany, and they say, kill everybody. Just kill everybody, because what's a person afterward? Just, little physical act a person does, and all of a sudden pops out a human being. Obviously, a human being is worth nothing. Says the Rebbe, no, it's not so. The son comes from the essence of the father. If you want to keep alive, well, you should know that your child comes from your essence. That's where it comes from. That's why it's called banim. Children are sons of God. Banim. It's explained in the second chapter of the Tanya. Also, Kiviyachos, so to speak, the soul of every Jew, Nimshacha, is drawn mimachshavto v'chachmato, from God's thought and God's wisdom, Yisparech. V'zeu Yisrael olo b'machshava. That's what it means. The Jewish people rose up in God's thought. Shezeu b'chinet chachma sheb'machshava. This is the level of chachma. Chachma. There are 10 sfirot. The highest of the 10 sfirot is what's called chachma. Chachma bina v'dat. That's chachma. Chachma in simple behavioristic language is called faith. Chachma, faith, or inspiration, or maybe you can call it your conscience. Receiving all of a sudden these awareness of things that are above your understanding. Sometimes even the opposite of your understanding. Courage.
So you could say that the baby is formed from the father's chachma?
From the essence of the father's chachma, yes. The essence of his chachma. Therefore it says the sons that the Jewish people come from God's thought. Thought is the garment for chachma. Lavush el chachma. Right? Let's take the ultimate example of this term we're going to call Chachma, the highest aspect of the human soul. Let's say for our purposes right now, right? Highest aspect of the human soul. Faith. Faith. A person has faith. What does faith mean? He perceives something. He is aware of something that's above his understanding. It's above his understanding. God exists. God creates me. How do you know that? I don't know. I just do. I just know that God exists, right? You can go to a lecture and you hear a great rabbi speaking. Where does the world come from? Where do you come from? Logically, he can explain to you that it could be that God exists, right? It could be that God exists. But all of a sudden you come to, yes, God exists. I do. I believe in God. I do. Does God want you to steal? No. God doesn't want me to steal. He doesn't want you to steal. Right? But you go to the store, and the store owner, instead of giving you a $10 bill, gives you a $100 bill. Now you go outside and you really need the money. Right? Do you believe in God or do you not believe in God? Well, the person says, hello, Rabbi, listen. What happens if you happen to find, $100 bill or something like that? So the rabbi says, well, you have to give it back. Why do I have to give it back? Because God says, okay, thanks a lot. Right? Goes home, doesn't do anything. But the rabbi says, because if you don't give it back, you will burn in hell, and you'll also lose 10 times as much as what you gained, because you gained it. I'm putting it back. Right? So that's not really believing in God. That's like, superstition. In school, we used to say, step on a crack, you break your mother's back. They used to be on the... Right? So people used to actually take it seriously and not step on. Somebody used to take it seriously and, yes, step on the cracks. They didn't like their parent.
But can you also say, God put that money in my pocket?
But God put it in my pocket, yeah. The Lord wills, who am I to say no? But the rabbi says, listen, that is, you can make that consideration 100%. God did put the money in your pocket. It's true. Nothing happens by accident. But he put it in your pocket so that you will give it back. You'll have the commandment. You'll make God happy. Put it back. Do you believe in God or do you not believe in God? I do believe in God, but I also believe in the money. You know what? I'll give half to charity. I'll give $50 to charity. And if you don't believe in God, the next time you just give me $50 and you give the other $50 to charity yourself. The Zohar, then in the Zohar, Nikret Chachma B'Shem Machshava. That in the Zohar, Chachma is called thought. Okay, Herschel. Kamaymer, like it says, Machshava v'yuvla lo it parish la'olmin. Like, now the Rebbe is going to bring up a Kabbalistic proof that Machshava, it means Chachma. The Jewish people rose up in God's Machshava, rose up in God's thought. Thought is referring to the highest of the 10 spheres of God's personality, called Chachma. How does he prove it? He's going to bring a proof from the Zohar. The Zohar has a thought like this. It says, Machshava v'yuvla lo itpar shalom. That thought and the Jubilee can never be separated forever. Okay, so Herschel, you see where we are? The Kavana here, it means Chachma and Bina. When it says thought and Jubilee, it's talking about Chachma and Bina. And I'm going to go a little bit quickly here because these are the point that the Rebbe wants to get to is that Jews rose up in God's thought, and thought is synonymous with God's Chachma, is wisdom, the highest aspect of godliness. Chachma and Bina. Chachma means, what is it? Conception. Like I said, faith, and Bina, and understanding. Hein train reim de lo misparshin. These are what's called two friends that are never separated. Chachma and Bina always have to be together. Let's just take our case. Belief. A person believes in God. He has faith in God. If it doesn't come into his understanding, then it's like what you said. He can excuse anything that happens in the world. Anything that happens in the world. I read speeches by Yamach Shamo, by Hitler, and he said it is God's will that the German people should rule, and this is what God wants. And when they took Eichmann to kill him, they brought a priest that he should confess. And he said to the priest, my God, he said, confess to God. He said, my God is nature. I have done no sin in front of my God. So you can believe in God. You can believe in God. But if you don't bring it to some sort of an understanding of what God really is, then you can do anything. It doesn't change you at all. Exactly the opposite. It makes you worse. Now you're not just a murderer, right? Like the Germans were. You're a murderer with the will of God. We're doing, that's the same, with God on our side. You can do anything. With God's on your side, you can do anything. So therefore, there has to be Chachma, has to be always connected with Bina. Chachma, faith, has to be always connected with proper understanding. They have to be not... Now it says that God also creates the world from Chachma and Bina. Chachma is the idea why God is making the world, and Bina is the plan to make the world according to that idea. Chachma and Bina, they can never be separated. Kamo b'kochot hanefesh, just like in the powers of the soul. Hari Chachma, which is a haskala, Chachma, which is the idea of having an idea, Ubina, which is the idea of understanding that idea. Havanat v'hasaga mashlimim zeh. Having an idea and understanding the idea, they complete one the other. V'iev shar zu b'luzu, and it's impossible this one without the other one. The kasher haskala in a bob hasaga, that if your ideas don't come in understanding, if you can't understand the ideas that this person says, so you don't, it's not an idea. You can't understand it. Right? I'm telling everyone an idea. God creates the whole world. Okay, good, creates the world. Does he? Doesn't create the world. Do you understand it? No. Don't have to understand it, just believe it. What am I supposed to believe? Right? God creates the world, so what? Like I said, it says in the in the Talmud, in Brachas, really it's in Ayin Yaakov, and Brachas, that a thief, before he goes to steal, he prays to God for success. It's a scary job to be a thief, but he believes in God, so he's doing the opposite of what God wants. He says, good, because he has belief, but he doesn't have understanding. He doesn't understand properly. So therefore his belief doesn't come deep enough. If he really had understood, then his belief would come into a little bit of a test. All right, the thief, he needs money. Where's he going to get the money from? He's good at stealing. It's his job. He has a talent. He's a good thief. He says, no, he needs that $1,000. He wants to buy a new car, and he doesn't have the money. Where's he going to get it from? Trust in God. I'm trusting in God, and I have to take buses, and I have to walk to work, and my foot hurts. I'm going to steal. Have trust in God, and God will provide you a way for the money. You might have to work. But God will provide you the money. Believe in it. In any case, don't steal. Don't steal. In other words, his emunah, his chachma has to come into bina, an understanding. God will take care of you. Zan, mafarnis the call, meitiv the call. Don't worry about it. As Zechariah always says. The call asaga muvenet yesh bo nakuda. And anytime you understand something, it has to have a point, an idea that it's coming from. So it is in in the upper spheros. These are what's called two friends that are never separated. You'll learn about this in other places. That's what it means, machshava. That's what it means, machshava, which is chachma, and yuvala, which is the jubilee, which that's the sphere of bina. Why is jubilee bina? Because jubilee is on the 50th year, and the number of 50 corresponds to bina, as it says in the book Sefer Yetzirah, that bina has 50 gates of understanding. Okay, this is not so essential to understanding. Nevertheless, he wants to say that the Jewish people have what's called a Jewish soul, a godly soul, and that's why they are dear to God. That's what it means, Chavivin Yisrael, because they have a soul that rose up in God's thought. Chachma and Bina are never separated. Now let's get back to our point. Okay, Herschel. The Yisrael alo b'machshava. The Jewish people rose up in God's thought. The Neshamos Yisrael, that the souls of the Jews, Hine, behold, Shorish Hamshachatan, the source, where do they come from? Is not like the rest of the world that comes from God's speech, but rather it comes from God's thought. This is the level of Chachma. This is the inner point of godliness, God's plan for creating the world, Chachma. That's why it says Chavivim Yisrael. That's why it says the Jewish people are dear. Shekai, that it refers al nefesh elokit, on the godly soul. So every Jew has two souls. The outer soul is, let's say, comes like the rest of the creation comes from God's speech, and this inner soul, this double identity that every Jew has, second identity, this is an awareness of God, pure awareness of God. Just like you are aware that you are alive, so the Jewish soul feels that God exists. Most people don't feel it, and when Mashiach comes, every Jew will feel it, and the idea is to bring this godly soul into the animal soul, because what is God? God creates the whole world. When the godly soul really feels and can explain, we're going to see how it's done, to the animal soul, that God is creating it, then the animal soul also starts to believe in God. And then there's tremendous benefit to the whole world. We'll see. We'll talk about this in a minute. Im kain, if so, that's what it means, Chavivim Yisrael. That refers on the godly soul. Im kain, if so, Masha Omer, that what it says, Chaviv Adam, that what it says, that man is dear. What is this man? Shenivra B'Tselem, that man was created in God's image. Lo koyal nefesh elokit. It's not talking about the godly soul. We already said that. Al nefesh elokit, on this godly soul, which is only by the Jews. Yeshna rak b'Yisrael. It's only in the Jews. Only Jews have this godly soul. By the way, why do the Jews have this godly soul? Because the Jews have an obligation to tell the non-Jews how much God loves them and cares for them. And the non-Jews aren't even aware what God really is. The non-Jews think that God is infinitely far away from them. That's why they developed all their strange religions. But really, God is infinitely close to them as well. He's creating them. To know what God wants to do, what wants them to do, that's the Jewish people tell them. But first of all, the Jewish people are supposed to inform them that God is creating them. This godly soul, this sense of godliness, is only by the Jews. Omer achar, and it says afterwards, Chavivim Yisrael. It says the Jewish people are dear. If so, what does it mean that man is dear because he's created in the image of God? Ela Omer Chaviv Adam, that what it says, that man is dear. Shenivra B'Tselem, that he was created in God's image. Kayal and Nefesh HaSichlit. This refers to the intellect, or the intellectual soul. And this is possessed by everyone, Jew and non-Jew alike. Intellect. The Nefesh HaSichlit, that this third soul, which is called the intellectual soul, He Mahuta Adam. This is the essence of man. This is what a man is. A man, human being. A human being. Nefesh HaSichlit. No. Nefesh HaSichlit, yes, is the top part of the Nefesh HaBahamit.
Top part?
The top. Chelik Elyon. In the Tanya, it says that there's only two souls. If so, it's not making a mistake. That, what it says here, there's three souls, it means that the animal soul has, the top part of the animal soul has its own unique function. And what is its own unique function? It wants the truth. It wants the truth. That's what an essence of a man is. It makes... Urotze emet. Ma tafkido. What is it? Nefesh HaSichlit. Even by a non-Jew. Yes, we'll see. Look, let's see. The Nefesh HaSichlit hi muta Adam. The Adam ba'asher hu Adam, that every single human being, hine behold, b'chol inyanav, in everything he does, eze sheyeh, here we go, eze sheyeh, no matter what, hein bein Adam lamakom, whether his relationship to God, hein bein Adam lechavero, or a person to his fellow man, hein bein Adam la'atzmo, or a person regarding himself, controlling himself, tzorich litnaeg al pi horat hanefesh hasichlit. You have to act according to your intellectual soul. Intellect. Liot shanefesh asichlit hi mahut adam. Because intellect is the essence of man. An animal cannot change its mind. An animal doesn't change its mind. It changes its impulses. Wants to go over here, wants to run over there. It has an impulse. A man has the ability to change his mind, not to pay any attention to his impulses, not to pay attention to his nature. That's what the essence of man is. Ideally, that's what's supposed to be universities are for. Right? You go to university, you learn, for instance, how to be a doctor. Right? A normal person looks at a sick person, doesn't know what to do. He prays. Right? You take him to a doctor. The doctor says, "Oh, this man, his problem is that let me just check him up over here. Eats too much sugar." Who would dream a thing like that? He thought sugar was the most healthy thing in the world. After he eats a sugar, he feels great. Without sugar, he feels terrible. Right? Doctor says, "No, that's his problem." Who would ever dream of something like that? Right? A lawyer, somebody steals from somebody else. He goes, "What are we going to do? We have an argument. Two partners have an argument. They go to a lawyer, they go to a judge. The judge decides. That's what it's supposed to be. Right? You go to university so that you can look at things objectively and you can change, you can solve problems objectively. Right? Remove yourself and objectively. Animals don't have a thing like that. Animals can't objectively solve problems. They can't change themselves. Leave the world up to animals, it'll be the same thing, right? Otters build their homes and the birds build their nests. Not going to come on bird and is going to say, "I know how to build a better nest. I can make a synthetic nest." It's not going to be such a thing. Right? Human beings can use their mind in order to improve the world. They can also use their mind for the opposite. We see what the Germans did. They used all their intellect, their genius of this with all their philosophy and all their science and all of this to kill 50 million people, with no problem. And also they use their mind and their intellect not to let their conscience bother them. Also, they use that all. What's another? Every human being has to act according to his nefesh hasichlit, according to his intellectual soul. Liot nefesh hasichlit hu mahut adam, because that's the essence of man. Right? Now, of course, not all men do act according to their intellect. They don't act according to their intellect. The ultimate example are addicts, people who get addicted. Right? They can be the most intellectual people in the world, and they do things that they don't want to do. They can advise people not to do such things, right? Don't gamble, worst thing in the world. He goes out and he gambles. He can give 500 reasons why not to gamble. He can be a psychiatrist and runs a hospice or something like that for gamblers. And nevertheless, he loses the whole business by gambling. It could be. People do things. That's what's called the animal soul. If the animal soul rules alone, then it just does whatever is good, feels good. We'll see.
Why is that?
A person doesn't use his intellectual soul. Doesn't use it. Doesn't pay attention to it. Doesn't pay attention. He knows it's wrong. He knows it's killing him. He knows it's destroying him. But every time he just sees that little glass, he just says, can't stop himself. Of course you can stop yourself. No, you can't stop it. Anyway, we'll talk about the 12-step program. We can talk about that another time. I took a big class in that also. Nevertheless, the whole point of the getting cured from addiction is using your mind. Using your mind. Telling yourself things. Right? Telling yourself things. One day at a time, etc. But you have to use your mind. And that's the essence of a human being, that he uses his mind. The nefesh hasichlit is the essence of a man. Whether his relationship between him and God, relationship between him and his fellow man, relationship between him and himself, the main thing should be his intellectual soul. Al pi horat hanefesh hasichlit, liot shehanefesh hasichlit hu mahut adam. After tagidu l'tzalzal. Ulefi zeh ma she'omer chaviv adam, that what it says, dear is man, because he was created in God's image. Kai, this refers al klalut min anushi, on all humanity. She'em b'malat adam, that every human being is considered to be a man. The mahuta u nefesh hasichlit, that his essence is a nefesh hasichlit. Some people have very low IQs, some people have high IQs, but there's no human being, no race or whatever it is that has a low IQ like an animal. Animals have no IQ whatsoever. And who says that IQ is measuring what the essence of a person is? But nevertheless, measures some aspect of intellect. And that's what the essence of man is that he can use his intellect. Omnam, katib, but it says, Adamatem. But it says, you are man. This refers to all, Atem Adam. It says by the Jews that only the Jewish people are called man. Atem Kurim Adam. You are called man. If so, even though the fact is that Chaviv Adam, that man is dear to God. Kai refers to Kololutz Mina Nushi. The first thing that Rabbi Akiva said here, that man is dear to God. This refers to all humanity. Shu b'mailat Adam, namely Nefesh HaSichlit, namely the intellectual soul. Im kol zeh, atem kurim Adam. Nevertheless, you are called man. Why? Because the Jewish people have a different type of intellect. Shenefesh HaSichlit di Yisrael, that the Jewish intellect, hu ba'ofen acher, it's a little bit different. Min nefesh HaSichlit the klolos mina. The intellectual soul of a Jew, the intellect of a Jew, is different than the intellect of a non-Jew. How is it different? What is the Rebbe trying to say over here? We'll see. What the Rebbe is trying to say is going to say that the intellect of a Jew is a receptacle for the godly soul. Remember, a Jew has this godly soul that's aware of God. The purpose of this godly soul is to be eventually directing even the animal soul. We haven't discussed what the animal soul is. The connection between the godly soul and the animal soul is this intellectual soul. Simply meaning, a Jew has the ability and the tendency to think about God. And if you want a proof, just talk to a non-religious Jew on the street and tell him, God exists. He'll argue with you and he'll yell at you, he'll get all angry. Just go to a non-Jew and say, God exists. Good, believe what you want. Okay, that's what you think. I don't think. Maybe today it's a little bit different for the Jews, but from my experience, it's not. A Jew won't argue with you. He just doesn't want to spend the time. Right? You say, God exists, a real thing. He'll say, hey, you say what you want. And then he'll leave and he'll think, that bastard, how could he say a thing like that? He doesn't know what he's talking about. I am sure that God, what about the Holocaust?
He's thought a lot about it.
The Rebbe once said to a person, the person said, I don't believe in God, what he did in the Holocaust, there's no such thing as God. So the Rebbe said, no, you believe in God, you just don't agree with what he did. Right? You don't agree with what he did. That's good. That's logical. Moses also didn't agree. Moses said, why are you punishing the Jewish people? What do they do? Right, look in the end of the book, in the end of the chapter of Shemot. As we will continue, God willing, more tomorrow.
Huge.